Salutations readers, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and for today I'm going to be updating y'all on my reading journal 2025. So this is going to be a spring reading journal update where I'll show y'all my spreads for March and April and my setup for May. So in case you did not know, I do indeed have a playlist of previous reading journal videos that will link in the video description down below and hopefully in the cards as well. But if you are wondering what this notebook is, this is an Archer and Olive B5 cute ghost notebook that is no longer available to purchase. But if you want other B5 notebooks, they do have other designs that are in circulation now and probably in the future as well. So you can grab yourself a notebook from there. I'm not affiliated with Archer and Olive or anything like that. I'm just here to promote the kind of notebook that I like to use. For this update though, I do want to do things a little bit different, hopefully in editing. So if something looks a little bit different, hopefully you will like it. And a lot of the work I have done in this journal in the past couple of months, I had to do a lot of it on camera. So you'll have a lot of me actually going through, writing through like a lot of reviews. But as far as like actual setups regarding March and April, not so much, because I had a reading slump in March and April. So I had to be able to put in a lot of like things already on the page before I even get to put it on camera. So I hope that's okay with y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and then let's get right into it.
All right, y'all, time to show y'all pretty much the front stuff and the notebook. But right now, let's just look at the notebook again a little bit more closely right now. And this is pretty much how far I've gone into it. Nearly halfway through the notebook. So good sign that this notebook's going to last me till the end of the year, which I'm happy about. Now let's open it up. And here it is, the front page again with a quote from the Beer Custard Water. And then now here's an index with my book bracket. We'll add in pretty much the book covers a little bit later. And then now here's the intentions books to be read in 2025. And definitely some updates here, but I'm not going to get into it too deeply. Here's my series tracker. And not too much progress since the last time I updated y'all. The fantasy bingo board is fine. Anticipated releases. Buzzwordathon. We have the book covers. Haven't added much since. Self-destruct. Books read versus books bought is also been pretty good. Physical TBR is also pretty solid. My arcs, buddy reads, also pretty solid. Added a couple of things. Oh yes, my adventure in Aldea. So I'm finally going to actually add in the map of the world, finally. So here's the map, courtesy of G from Book Roast. So now I'm just going to pretty much start gluing that in. And while I start gluing that back in, I'll also be adding the book covers as well to the mix. Since I was like, wow, I already have gone like 1/3 of the way through the year, I might as well start adding in all the book covers. So you will also get to see what book I read for the month of April. And here are all the book covers. So I put them all in order, and then now it's time to glue them down. Now that all the book covers have been glued down, I'm actually using the closed capital of the glue to pretty much just help to really put it glued down, because I've just learned that it's a nice trick to keep it all down together. And I actually like how everything here all looks pretty good. And so since I don't have a tape roller, this is the best I can really do. So now that that's done, let's start getting into the March spreads. So here we are with the calendar. Not much actually to add here since the actual update itself, but pretty much same here. And then I did also add in like my trans rights readathon stuff as far as the books I've read for it, and a little bit note on how much money I donated when I did. And then here is the stats for March with all this graphs, and of course an overview from Storygraph. So after that, here's actually the review pages. Please don't look too deeply into the review pages, because they will indeed include all my spoilery thoughts. But I will say that since I was in a reading slump, and it did take me a while to actually add in my thoughts to these books, I did have to add in a little bit more decoration to fill up some blank space. So here I am actually with writing out my review for Little Rock by Nkechi Emezi. This was actually the best book I read in the month of March, and I decided to do something a little bit different with editing just to give you some real time on how long it takes for me to actually write my reviews. But don't worry though, I definitely have to speed it up because my hands was cramping and I had to make sure I get through all of that pretty quickly. But to be quite honest, I don't really have much to really add as far as what I thought about Little Rot, except that it's just a really, really good book. I understand that a lot of people really did not love it, or they just could not really read it because of the subject matter, because there is a lot of graphic sexual violence in the novel and just a bunch of other things that could be very triggering for a lot of readers. So I understand if this is one that maybe people probably would avoid, but I have learned from Nkechi Mezi that they do not shy away from very, very dark truths within a human heart and just human condition. But I still understand that this is not going to be meant for everyone, so I won't quite recommend it for everyone, despite this being like one of my favorite books of the year. But I could never go wrong with an Nkechi Mezi novel, just never. Especially since this is actually a literary thriller. Yes, that's right, it's a literary thriller. It's very, very fast paced. But I will say though that if you can handle it, I do recommend Little Rot. And I did try my best to at least get through all of these March review pages pretty quickly, even though I also did not remember much, since it's been a while because I had to fill all this up in the month of May. So, we are here. But I think that's all I have for y'all as far as my thoughts on Little Rot. Okay, now it's time to talk about my April spreads. This is definitely going to be the larger chunk of the video because I had to handwrite all of my reviews for every single book I read in April. And y'all, it's not like a lot of law, but my hand was cramping for a lot of it, so I had to really just speed through the process as far as writing these reviews. But this is Most Ardently, which is a Pride and Prejudice remix by Gabe Cole-Novoa. This one, I liked it. I didn't love it, but as far as a Pride and Prejudice retelling, I'd say this is a pretty solid retelling. Now, after I did this review, because unfortunately I overestimated how many books I'll read in March, here I is with the actual April calendar and stats and hopefuls. And then here, actually, I'm going to add in the overview from Storygraph as far as all the stats and stuff. And now that I'm going to be gluing that in, I just want to let y'all know that April was a bit of an improvement of a month. I had a lot of anticipated releases, and I do like the calendar I did for it. I had some hopefuls. I did actually get through a few of those hopefuls, not going to lie. Maybe not all of it in April. And then we have our stats, and then I just had a lot of extra space to, of course, decoration. But I do have to say, April was mostly a success, even with the reading slump. And now here's with the Magical Readathon. So this is my intentional calling and TBR with my character of all of that. So this was my intention. I wanted to do all of this, right? All those books. However, with my reading slump, I realized that there was just no way I was going to read that much. So I decided to make a revised version. So I made it a whole new character who is related to my main character, and I decided to have a much smaller TBR. And I went with a whole new calling, which is a tome binder, which actually was introduced this year. So I figured, you know what? Perfect opportunity. I might as well take it. And here's the newest Reddit fantasy book bingo board. I already have a couple entries in there already. But I will have to say, I'm actually quite proud that I switched callings to make things easier for me. And now here are some more review spreads. So I will be going through my review of Don't Sleep with the Dead by Niveau. I think I already said in my wrap up that yes, I did enjoy this one. It's a really good novella, but it's definitely best if you've read The Chosen the Beautiful first, because without that context, I felt pretty lost, not gonna lie. And again, please don't look more in like what I'm actually writing, because it will be very, very spoilery as far as my actual thoughts and the events that happens in these books. So if you don't want to be spoiled, don't read it. If you do actually care what my thoughts are, just pause the video and just like read it if you want. I try to make sure it's as close as possible so y'all can actually read it if you care to, but if you don't care to, then it's not too close that you just read it without your wanting. So I will say definitely recommend this novella. Highly recommend. Now here we are with Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. This is the very first Sally Rooney I actually managed to finish. And I actually had trouble actually writing my review for it because I wasn't really sure what I really fully thought in like written word, because this was such an odd thing for me to really realize that I would even really enjoy this. And I think I wrote as such in my review. But I will say though that with all my writing, my hands were very much cramping, so you will be probably noticing that me was just like trying to figure out what to do with myself. But honestly, this one was just quite enjoyable. I don't know if I'm really like a Sally Rooney reader or fan or anything, but I am curious about Sally Rooney's works, not just when other people talk about it, but just the works themselves. So I do look forward to reading more from her in the future. We shall see though if that actually ends up happening. And also do a reminder though, I do indeed have a wrap-up video of all the books that I read in March and April. So if you want more full in-depth thoughts on what I actually really thought as well, then definitely check out that video. I will link it up in the cards and in the video description down below. So these are just like whatever random thoughts I have right now as I'm recording this voiceover on these books. So now that Beautiful World Where Are You and Don't Sleep with the Dead reviews are done, we're gonna move on to Chlorine and Take a Hint, Danny Brown. Let's start with Chlorine by Jade Song. This was a book I saw a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, rave about. I think in the past couple of years. For sure when it first came out, which was like 2023. At the time though, I really wanted to read it, but I was not quite in the horror mood, so I didn't get a chance to read it in the past couple of years. But I am glad that I got a chance to do it now. Oh, yep, there we go. Here's my hand cramping. Just a lot of writing, because I was trying to make sure I did this all in like one go. Oh, and since I felt like I wasn't sure what to write, I decided to add a little bit more decoration. So I got that washi tape pretty recently, actually, from Archer and Olive from their spring collection. So I'm just going to add that in there to just help with some space, because I really don't like having empty space while I'm doing my reviews. It just makes me feel like I have more thoughts or just really incomplete thoughts. I don't know. It's a weird thing in my brain, okay? But again, with Chlorine though, this one I really enjoyed. I think this was the favorite of April, I think. Yeah, because I didn't have a 5-star in April, unfortunately. But I did still really enjoy several books, and Chlorine was definitely the favorite of the month. I mean, it was really weird. Literary horror, it's queer, it's like specifically sapphic, coming of age. I'm totally here for it. I was just here for the whole mermaid allegory, and I also just love me some body horror, so you know, I'm easily pleased with body horror, okay? I am. I really am. But this one, though, I have to say, I highly recommend. If you have not checked it out, I definitely do recommend checking it out, whether it's physically, digitally, with like an audiobook or the ebook. I do have problems with the audiobook, though, a little bit. Now, here's a review for Take a Hint, Danny Brown. Unfortunately, as far as the Brown Sisters trilogy, this is indeed my least favorite of the bunch. Danica Brown was pretty much the main sister, honestly. Actually, Takes Me really had a problem with as far as characterization, and now her love interest, Zafir, though, I was definitely here for. I was here for Zafir. Now, the thing is, though, is that, like, since he was so emotionally intelligent and Danny was resistant and not much aware on her emotions, it was very hard for me to be fully invested in the romance, but I do think over time, Danica could really possibly grow on me if she did a lot more internal work. So, you know, maybe in like a future kind of thing, she'll really warm up on me. But for right now, I still have my issues. But that's it, though. That's all my reviews for Chlorine and Take a Hint, Danny Brown. I think I have one more review to do. Yes, A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. Honestly, I don't want to harper on too much on my thoughts on this book personally. Mostly because I already have a book review video, well, actually an ARC review video, because I did get it as an ARC from Del Rey, so thanks to them for the e-ARC, but this was the most disappointing book I've read so far this year. It's actually the only book I actually rated low, so that was actually quite surprising, because I was so determined to not finish reading any books that was like less than 3 stars, but this was a book I genuinely had to finish because it was a sequel I've been waiting for like an entire year for, so I decided to just keep reading. And unfortunately, it just really disappointed me. If you really want to know more reasons why, I mean, you could actually like read the review I'm writing, or you can just check out the video, which I will put in the cards and in the video description down below. But yeah, this one, I'm pretty disappointed in. Now, granted, I'm definitely in the minority as far as my thoughts on it, but I won't be checking out more from this series or from Robert Jackson Bennett in the future either. Like, he's just irredeemable. Now, there's Samanina by Akweke Emezi that I actually read in May, so I will not be writing my review here. So you'll have to wait for a mid-year flip through for my review on that. Now, here is actually the official May spreads. So this one I decided to do something a little bit different. I added in a quote from the movie Past Lives, which was actually the theme from last year. I don't think I quite have enough time to really read all of that, so you can read that for yourself. But it was actually a quote that I really love from the movie, and it actually was very thematic to the movie as well. And I figured, you know what, this will be a perfect quote page for the month of May, because why not? It actually ended up being one of my favorite movies of the year because I watched it for the first time this year. And then here's the calendar for May. Not much going on here, just several releases, and here's some hopefuls. I am making a little bit of progress on that reading hopefuls, not gonna lie, but not the best. Now here's pretty much my spread for the Asian Readathon. Here's all the prompts. I know it's a little bit small, but I already have a TBR video that went through all the prompts. So there's all the movies that I hopefully will be able to watch. And then those are actually the movies as well from the past couple of years. So I just also watched them all this year, and I have my ratings. I think I'll put my reviews on there as well. We shall see. And then there's also the Asia Readathon Hopefuls, which is also part of the TBR video. And then I decided to join in a whole nother readathon called the Goober Readathon. Very much impromptu. It's actually been created by Jess from Jashi Corinne, and also a few of your friends, her book buddies or Bujo buddies. Yes, that's what it's called. And then this is pretty much like the study plan is for the Ghosty Goober and all the prompts and stuff. I don't have to do all of them, but as you could tell, I've already had a couple books I put in there as well. Anyways, thank you all again for watching this video. If you liked it, please like it. Comment down below any of your thoughts on my reading journal or anything as far as like what you read in March and April. And if you're also new here and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing if you want to. Now, if you made it this far into the video, you're not sure what to say, but you want to leave me an emoji and to let me know you're here, leave me a ghost emoji in honor of the notebook, but also for the Ghosty Goober for the Goober Readathon. Anyways, thank you all again for coming on to this video, and I hope to see you on my next one. Bye!